Hey there, sweet friends. I hope you are all well. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Ginny, and I glue little pieces of paper to other little pieces of paper, and I love to share my projects with you. I'm excited to welcome everyone to day one of our 13 Days of Halloween series for 2024. We have loads of crafty inspiration planned, so I hope you all come back and join us every day for the series. Remember, every year we host a question of the day, and that is a way for me to get to know all of you a little better and for you to join in the fun. And before I get started, I want to thank the Tech Hubby for once again creating a spectacular intro and music for our videos. So everybody, make sure to leave some love for Tech Hubby down in the comments. For today's project, we're creating a folio style box with inserts that acts as a non-traditional scrapbook or memory keeping system. So this project is super easy and it is very versatile. You can make this for any theme or holiday simply by switching out your cardstock and your collection. And so I have loads of tags and inserts in here to add your pictures and journaling. And so if this sounds good to you, then stick around and we'll make it together. I'm just going to jump right into that question of the day. Do you decorate your home for Halloween? In years past, we have always decorated for a spooky season, but this year we have some things going on behind the scenes that's going to take priority. So we're just going to have to enjoy driving past and seeing other people's festive displays. Make sure to let me know if you decorate for Halloween down in the comment section below. For our project today, I have that Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Scary Stories collection. This is the 12 by 12 collection kit, which does include the sticker sheet. Now, I chose this very specifically because I wanted to have all of those fun cut aparts, and they always have tags, 3x4s, 4x4s, 4x6s, and some additional journaling tags. And so this is going to be ideal for inserts when we build that accordion box. I'm going to demonstrate with this white cardstock because it's a little bit easier to see where my score lines are on screen. But for the finished project, I will be switching to black. But our first cut, and this is going to be how we build the accordion portion, is a piece that is 3 high by 11 wide. It's scored at 3 and also 8. So we know that our accordion will be 5 inches wide. I chose the 3-inch high measurement because I know my tags and my inserts are going to be 4, and I really want to build up those layers so that I can see them when the box is sitting up. So 3 inches high is going to be perfect to reveal all of those fun layers. After I get this scored, I am going to fold it on those score lines. And where these will connect, I'm going to add some of my Chew Glue combo. So that will start with double-sided adhesive. I'll put that on both sides. Pull the backing off of that tape. I also want to include that Tombow. This is just going to be an extra layer of security to make sure that this stays well adhered. And I'm going to put it on both sides again. These do overlap, so there will be 4 points of contact for that adhesive. And then I would just press that into place. That double-sided tape will hold it while the glue sets up, so we can continue to work along. And now is when I'll switch to my black cardstock. I have prepared 6 of them for this box, and now I want to join these together. And so I have these already set. I'll show you on the remaining 2. I have it so that the solid side will be on the top, and I did prepare a small template so that I can get to the center of this, and I'm just going to use my Tombow. So this little template is going to be 3 inches high by 2.5 wide, and it doesn't have to be exact, but I'm just going to use this as a guide for my glue. Now I am going to stay lower than the top so that I don't have any seepage. And then I'll add the next layer. These are very easy to position because they're all going to be the same size. So now what you would do is hold this in place just until that glue sets up, and then I'll add these 2 to the remaining 4. This is a good time to utilize a heavy book or something in your reach so that you can get a good contact, and that will hold it in place while the glue sets up. So I'm just going to move this off screen and let this set under a book while it's preparing to be used for the inside. The box itself, or the surround, will actually be made of a couple of different parts. We're still going to stick with this very thick, sturdy black cardstock. And so this is going to be the back portion. I want to add my pattern paper to this before we build that box. It's so much easier to have a flat surface to work on than when it's dimensional. So the piece that will cover the back is going to be 5 high by 10 wide and scored at 5. So just exactly in half. I'm going to cover both the front and the back. And the pattern paper measurement is going to be 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. So we're going to get a nice border of our black cardstock. This also helps to add a little bit more thickness and sturdiness. So flip that around and add that here. You definitely want to make this very sturdy so that you can add all of those fun inserts and not worry about the box getting misshapen. So here's going to be the back. Let's go ahead and do that for the front as well. And so my cardstock piece for this is going to be 5 high by 6 wide and scored at 3. So in half one more time. For this one, I'm only going to worry about covering the front. And so my pattern paper measurement is going to be 2 7/8 by 4 7/8. And like I said, we just need this for the front. I picked the smaller plaid for this because I do want to add some embellishments for the front and I don't want to lose that fun pattern. Once we have that accordion, we also need to keep the box from falling forward too much and losing its shape. So I do have 2 pieces that will act as sides, and these are going to be 3 high by 5 wide, scored at 1 1/4 and 3 3/4. And that's going to give us the depth that we need, and then some to secure onto the front and the back. Might as well finish these with our pattern paper again while we have a flat surface. So these little bits are going to be 2 7/8 by 2 3/8. Wind up with a depth for our box of 2 1/2. I chose that specifically because I have a box to ship it in that will fit that size. So I'm just taking that into account. If you want to make yours deeper, then I think you could just easily add additional accordion sections and account for that measurement on the bottom of the box. So now we have all of our pieces ready to assemble. We need something to wrap around and become the bottom. So I have my cardstock measurement here to be 5 high by 10 wide. It's scored at 3 and also 5 1/2. So this is going to give us the 3 inches for the front, the 5 inches for the back, and 2 1/2 inches that will act as that center section. Now what I want to do is begin to add some of the outer pieces first, then we can sandwich the side pieces in between of that so it will be well secured. So I'm going to take that back portion. Remember, we have our pattern paper already added. This is another case for the 2 glue combo. You see, I got a new Tombow, so I don't have to shake it while I'm on camera. I'll hold this up to that score line so that I know I have it exactly where I want it to be positioned, and then just press that into place. I'm going to do the same thing for the front, but remember the inside does not have the pattern paper, so we'll switch to this side, and I'll just repeat that process with our 2 glue combo. I will link this black cardstock in the description. It is AstroBrights, and I picked it up from Amazon, and I think that it is very nice and sturdy and makes excellent bases for these more dimensional projects. And so I'll just repeat that process of holding it up so I know exactly where my score line is, and then pressing that into place as I go along. So now I have this being 3 layers of that heavy cardstock, so you can imagine how nice and thick and sturdy this is turning out to be. Okay, now we want to bring in those side portions, and of course we want one whole side here, and we're going to sandwich that in between those layers, and then I'll fold this up. The other section will go here, and then I'll glue it down so that it is exactly nice and even and square. So let's do that now. We're gonna do that 2 glue combo again. It will be easier if you pull only one side of this double-sided tape backing off at a time so that you don't inadvertently adhere it to something that you don't want it to be stuck to. I think one side is going to wind up to be a little bit easier than the other. So let's go with the larger portion first. I'll hold this up so that I can position that all the way into my score line. You see now I'm just going to press that into place so that we get a good contact. And then I'll repeat that process for the other side. As I mentioned in the intro, this is very versatile, so you would just want to switch your cardstock color to whatever collection. So you could use maybe green or red for Christmas or red for Valentine's, whatever theme or holiday. This would definitely be a great way to add your scrapbooking or memory keeping to. You see, I was talking and I pulled the tape from both sides because concentrating on one thing and talking is not always easy for me. So I'm just going to work around that, you see, and I'll set that up just like I did for the first one. Set that into the score line. Press that into place. Now flip that over, you see, and we're going to sandwich those flaps in between these layers. And that will be very well secured. Fold that over and then press that into place. Let me know in the comments if you can't talk and craft at the same time like I try to. Sometimes I can, but most times I cannot. Okay, so let's flip that over and we'll do that same step for the front. Let's start with this one because I already did pull that tape. Folding that up, keeping it flat on my work surface, and pressing that right down into that corner. You see, now we have established the depth that we need for those accordion portions. So just repeat that for this side. Flip that up, press that down into the corner. Now, if you can see on camera, I've got that right into that score line. Press it so you get a good contact. And then remember to close this over to secure those flaps sandwiched in between. And this is going to be the basic box. So as I mentioned, you could make some adjustments to the size if you wanted to, but I think this works pretty well. And it also adds enough depth so that you could include additional flat keepsakes or mementos. So if you really want to load this up with all of those memory keeping items, you will have room to do that. And the accordion portion helps to keep everything nice and neat and organized and standing up straight, which is what you want to do. So now we have that box made. Look how nicely that turned out. So now we can add the accordion portion. Remember, this has 6 sections on the inside, and then we're gonna glue it in the same fashion to the box as we did to each other. So I want to find that center point and glue that. This is the part that's a little tricky because you can't set it down, otherwise you'll glue it to the table. But you do want to get the glue on the back side as well. You won't be able to do that once the front is adhered. So let's bring this to the box. And remember, I do have that score, the seam, in the back so that I won't have any of those seams showing inside. So just place that inside. Remember, it's 5 inches wide, so you'll be able to just give that some pressure while the glue sets up. We're going to do that for both sides. You just have to kind of work your hand down in there so that it is having a good contact. And then keep this rather awkward, uncomfortable position until you are sure that your glue has set up. I'm going to do this off camera, and then I'll be right back with you when we can begin to add our inserts. So here's our box that's all ready to fill. I hope it will focus on this with the taller part in the back, but as you can see, we have 6 nice sections here inside, and everything is covered with that great collection paper. Now, the reason why we don't have the bottom part of that accordion sealed is because now that is going to give us the maximum amount of room in here for our inserts. And I do also want to cover the front before we start putting those inside so they don't become an issue when we're trying to glue things down. So of course, you see we have only a small amount of surface to finish here. So I just die cut a small scalloped edge circle. It has a little stitching detail, so that is a nice little extra. And then I took one of the 2x2 cut apart images from the collection. I added a black border from our cardstock, and then I popped that up on some foam tabs. So now we can begin to build a little bit of dimension here on the front. I've also created a couple little flower arrangements, and there is only one large flower for these. I'm also adding a little bit of black plaid ribbon, some netting, some twine, and my die cut foliage is now going to be black. I just want it to kind of be a cohesive Halloween theme, and I don't know that green would have been the right choice. So I'm just going to stick with orange and black. And as you can see, these are exactly the same. I just flipped one in the other direction, and I want to add these, being careful to keep the fragile bits from these leaves inside. It's okay if the trim goes a little over, but I don't want any damage to come to those leaves. So let's add those with hot glue. And for this one, the trim is on the top. I think that pretty much covers most of the front of this box. So we're not going to have room for any charms or buttons, but that's okay because there is plenty of detail coming in next. So now we have the front all finished. Now what I want to do is consider that the Simple Stories collections have so many inserts in such a variety of shapes. So I know that I have 6 compartments. So I'm going to pick 4 of the tags, the 3x4s, and the 4x4. So that gives me a total of 12. And when I add them to that accordion, I can mix and match them, just get a fun combination as I work through. And then I've also created 6 of these additional inserts. And so the measurement for the cardstock on these is 4.5 by 4.5. And the pattern paper is 4 3/8 by 4 3/8. So I just picked a couple of the patterns that I like. There are duplicates here, that's okay. For the back, I elected to use some of my orange cardstock, and this will allow me to add some journaling, put some writing on the back of here, or some additional pictures. This can be a photo mat, but it makes it a little bit more versatile than having pattern paper on each side. So what I want to do first is just roll through here and put one of these in each of our accordion sections. That's going to work from the back. I think that would be easier. You see how nicely that filled in. So this is going to be just a little bit smaller than our 5-inch. So we're going to get a nice border from the background as well. You see how all those show. Now I want to combine different sets of these cards. I'm just kind of picking colors that seem to want to work together. Now, an additional detail we can add is to make some clips. I have these already set, and I just picked up some larger paper clips. Some of them I've tied netting, and some of them I've tied that ribbon. So that will all coordinate really nicely. And I did get that netting from the Dollar Tree. This comes on a roll. Usually I took that off and just wrapped it in, stuck it in one of these sleeves from a photo album, one of the Dollar Tree photo albums, and that helps me to store these in much less space. So here's the clip I want to use, and then here is a little sliver of that netting. You can see that it has a glittery spiderweb effect. So I just want to tie that onto the top, and so that it is secured, and this will show over the top of those tags. And if you put them on clips, you can move them around easily, and then you can also use the clip to add any flat keepsakes or mementos that you want to include but not glue down. So if there's writing on the back, or you want it to be flexible so that you can work on it and finish it and move things around, then that would work really well. So once I have that tied, I want to kind of find the front of that pattern. One side is a little more glittery than the others, and I'm just going to tap a tiny little bit of hot glue. I don't really feel the hot glue, but if you do, you could use one of those silicone thumb covers so that you don't burn yourself, but I think that just makes it nice because now you know it will stay in place. You can also go back over here. It probably won't be visible on camera, but there's a couple of little threads now that have come loose during the time when I was tying it. So I want to make sure to keep that nice and tidy. And then also I want to just take a little bit off the top so that it has a little haircut there. Now, you will find if you use that glittery netting or tool that you're going to get a lot of mess on your table. And so I'll just pull a little bit of this Scotch tape here and run that over, and it will collect all of that mess so that you don't transfer it everywhere. Now you can decide which of these sets of insert you want to get one of these clips. You see how nicely that goes on. I'll put these two together and slip that in. Because we have 6 pockets and 12 inserts, we're going to get 2 of the image cut aparts and 1 of the layered insert that we just created. So I'll just alternate these as we go along. We do have 8 of these clips if you make 4 of each. So you can decide how you want to fill these in, but it's better to have extra on hand right away while you're working along so that when you need them, you will be ready. You see how those bigger clips really help too. Keep that trim piece upright. This is the last set. Another nice thing about the Simple Stories tag cut aparts is they do have the lined section on the back. So that would be a great way to include your journaling that goes with your pictures. This is a sort of non-traditional scrapbook kind of memory keeping system. Okay, so now you have 6 of those on and you're going to wind up with an extra 2. So let's just put them here on the 4.5 by 4.5 inserts, and that will help to kind of fill that in. So that's going to be it for day 1. I sure do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 2 and make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Check the description for links. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.